Have any questions, please save those for the end so that we can get those in. So welcome to the call tonight, the webinar as it relates to leadership and business. I'm your host. I'm Mike Favors. I happen to be a pastor of a local church in Marietta, Georgia called the Empowerment Action Center. I'm also a John Maxwell certified trainer. Been in leadership for over 2 decades now. Started leadership as a young man at the tender age of 20 years old, and I've been doing it for a while. And I'm a presiding bishop as well. I am the apostle and presiding bishop over Peace Ministries Fellowship. And so tonight we understand that we have a topic, and we are all a part of the business called IML, which is iMarkets Live, and we are in it to win it. But we also realize that if we're going to grow a team and become chairmen and pop ranks, you all, and just be successful, there are certain principles that we need. And so Sean, my partner and friend, we saw fit to do this leadership and business webinar so that we can just give you all some tips, some strategies and things like that from a mentorship that I started. And I have mentees that I teach on a regular basis and I mentor. So with that being said, let's get right into this. So leadership and business. First thing I want you to realize, or first slide we want to talk about, is the levels of leadership. As I said earlier, I am a graduated and certified trainer with the John Maxwell Leadership Institute. And so John Maxwell, in one of his books, talks about the 5 levels of leadership. And I want to go through these briefly with you on tonight. The first level of leadership is the position leadership. The position is the leadership level where people follow you because they have to. You've been given delegated authority in a particular company or a particular business, and people have to follow you. They don't have a right, but they have a charge if they want to stay on that job. The second level of leadership is the leadership level that we call permission. This is where you start to build relationships. And this is key for you all here because people follow you because they want to. A rule of thumb in leadership, you can never make anyone follow you. You can never make anyone do what you say, but you can build a relationship which then inspires people to follow you. And the greatest of the greatest leaders understand that to inspire people is to pull out of people and allow people the ability to see what they don't see in themselves naturally without that mentorship or that leadership. So people will begin to follow you at this level because of the relationship that you develop with them, which leads us to level 3. Level 3 is when I say, or like to say, the magic happens. Productivity takes place. Level 3 is the level of leadership we call production, because this is when you begin to see results from your team, from your relationships, from things that you're doing. These people, or in this particular leadership level, people follow you because of what you have done for the organization. And I often say in leadership that 90% of what we say is not coming out of our mouth, it's coming out of our actions. So in other words, when you talk about leadership in business, it's coming out of your production, the fruits that we bear. And then, of course, level 4, we get to people development. Now, I particularly love this stage because this is where your mentorship happens, your discipleship happens. This is where the reproduction of things take place. On this level, people follow you because of what you have done for them. Make no doubt about it. If you really want to leave an indelible impression on someone, if you really want to add value to someone, you seek to do something for them. And most of our relationships, you all, please hear me when I say this, you have great relationships when you can quickly identify the need that you all have from one another. There has to be a need because there's going to be a give and take from one another. And this is where John Maxwell talks about the people development. And so the last level, which according to John, many people don't get to this level, we call it the pinnacle level. This is the level where respect comes in, because people follow you on this level because of who you are and what you represent. This also is the level you are in business where you get to a place of branding. You'll have people who begin to connect with you because of your brand. They won't necessarily meet you in person. They won't necessarily even need to have a talk with you, but your brand speaks volumes of who you are and what your organization is all about. And so these are the 5 levels of leadership. Now, let us go into the business. What is business? Have you ever thought about what business is? From just a regular basic definition, business is a person's regular occupation, profession, or trade. Or business is the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. Now, for the sake of this webinar and this teaching session, I want us to focus, highlight, and thus underscore the second meaning, which is the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. This is what business means. So if you're taking notes or anything like that, I'd like you to write that I am a business. This is very key because you're going through a mindset shift. If you look at yourself and look at your organization as if it's not a business, then you will develop what we call the employee mindset. And the employee mindset is a mindset that says, I have to work, I have to show up, but I have no leverage, which means if I don't show up, then I don't eat. Then things that I need to do, I'm now in bondage to time. And we want to liberate you from time, which is why we put you, or why you joined the business called IML, so that you can get the resources to further advance your business ventures. So now, if we're talking about business, and business is the practice of making one's living, your sustainability, your livelihood, then, and engaging in commerce, then the question arises, or should arise, what is commerce? Commerce, by definition, my dear friends, is the activity of buying and selling. I need you to catch this. The activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale. That's what commerce is all about. So then if we backtrack and understand that business is the practice of engaging commerce, and commerce is the activity of buying and selling, I need you to understand something that you have to get in your mindset, that business is not necessarily providing a service. There's a difference, you all. But business is the buying and selling. You're talking about commodities. You're talking about certain things that providing a need, but it is not the service of it. So then here's the caveat. The activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale. Did you all hear that? I wonder if you all caught what I just said. No one goes into business to do things small, to do things mediocre. So now when leadership kicks in, as people develop, and I'm trying to develop your mindset, I need you to take the brakes, the blockers, take the mediocre or mediocrity off of your thinking and understand that you're in a situation with IML to become a big business owner. You want to do things on a large scale. I understand that we have to start small first, but when you're talking about commerce, we're talking about oil wells, we're talking about apartment complexes, we're talking about edifice and things that add value to our communities and neighborhoods. So the time out is, I told my team last night on the mentorship call that instead of trying to get an ABC car, why not set your sights on owning the car lot? My. What would that mindset do for you? So now you see over here to the left, if you're watching this in the webinar, you see I have e-commerce. Studies show that the traditional brick and mortar store is being overcome by the business sector of e-commerce. E-commerce is so very important. A lot of people are ordering things. You can order pizza online. You can even order your groceries from Walmart, pull up, and they'll bring the groceries to your store. And in some cities, they'll bring those groceries to your house. And all you have to do is order your products and goods online. E-commerce, you all, is very, very, very vital to the new wave, the new trend. If you look and read Bishop T.D. Jakes' new book called Soar, he tells you that we got to recognize the wind and the trend. The wind and the trend in this particular season, you all, is pointing to e-commerce. Now, when I was in Nashville in undergrad, I had an opportunity to meet this great gentleman right here. You all know him as Dave Ramsey, the Total Money Makeover guy. But listen to this quote. If you don't hear anything else that I say tonight, if you don't write anything else down, please write this quote down. Dave Ramsey says, and I quote, "The worst thing we can do is get a second job. The best thing we can do is start a home-based business," end quote. Did you all hear those words? Can you see the wisdom? Can you see the trajectory and the trend setting that he's trying to instill by penning these words? Dave quipped and said, the worst thing you can do is get a second job, because now you just put yourself in bondage to a second job, which means you still have no leverage. If you don't work, you don't eat. As a matter of fact, and I'm not coming against jobs, you all, let me tell you something. The only thing I'm coming against is the fact that people make jobs their lifetime goal. Jobs were never created to make you wealthy. They were only created to pay bills. So what happens is if you want a job, you go work for someone, but you're working for the person who has the vision to become wealthy. No one, hear me when I tell you this, no one will pay you enough to become their neighbor. Because if that's the case, you need to start your own business. All right. So he said the best thing we can do is start a home-based business. Why? You have certain tax write-offs, certain benefits from starting a business. And of course, we teach some of this stuff in the mentorship program. We'll teach you the difference between an LLC and a DBA. We'll teach you the need for S Corp and a C Corp so that you can understand the tax breaks that you get. In life, as an investor now, it dawned on me that I pay taxes after I spend my money. But I have friends who are not in business and they pay taxes before they get their money. Your regular employee check, they take taxes out. Well, guess what? At the end of the year, it is a blessing and an honor to have to pay taxes on what I have left. And that's the language of wealth. And a lot of people don't know that wealth in business has its own language. And when you learn this language, you set yourself up for great opportunities, okay? Now, with that being said, in order to do business, in order to develop the mindset of e-commerce and have a business, you have to have a plan. So then the essence of strategic planning comes from a biblical verse, Proverbs 21:5. Proverbs 21:5 says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. Now, honestly speaking, can you all mute out your line? Can you mute your line, please? I got you. So think about that. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. Now, if I were to ask you right now, which one would you want? Would you want surely to poverty or surely to plenty? 99% of us are going to say we want plenty. The problem is that we have not allowed someone to teach us how to develop a strategic plan. And of course, this is where we come in at, all right? So this is one of the things that you want to do. This is also one of the things that we offer in the mentorship program, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. Now, with that strategic planning, you come up with this thing we call a BP. The BP is a business plan, 10 sections that you have to go through and work this out. Now, let me share something with you. I was first introduced to the business plan when I was about 23 years old, 23 going on 24. When I was in Nashville, I started my first legal business, and that business was a cleaning company. The first time I started the cleaning company, I made about a good $400 or $500 a month. Wasn't that lucrative. So I had to go do some research and find out why is my business not flourishing like I believe it can. So the second time that I launched the business, I invested in myself, invested in some knowledge, and I invested in a franchise. One of the franchise owners sat me down and said, you need to write a business plan. When I wrote the business plan, my dear friends, hear me, numbers don't lie. I wrote the business plan, got the business plan in position, worked the plan, started the business. My income increased from, say, $500 a month to about $5,000 a month after I paid my employees. So at the age of 23, 24, right around 24 and a half, 25, I was generating a 5-figure income as a young man, still in college, raising my youngest son, paying my way through college. So when I say this business plan works, it works. So let's look at this. I don't have time to go over this in its entirety, but I just want to touch briefly on it so that you can go and do research and get this plan. And of course, we can help you out if you need. So the first thing in a BP you need is an executive summary. You need an executive summary to delineate what it is that your company is going to be about. The next thing you need is a mission statement. Once you have your executive summary, you summarize what you are going to do, things, the products and things of that nature, you got to come up with a mission. A mission statement basically is how you plan to do what you want to do. Then you do a company background. That simply means you write down the vision, the place you were when the company was being birthed. What's your reason? What's your why? I know you all hear that term all the time. It may sound cliche-ish. I know Sean's teaching. He's a great leader. He's asking you all, know your why. Your why is very important because your why will get you up in the morning. Your why will keep you motivated. Your why will keep you going when you feel like giving up. This is leadership, you all. This is business. All right. So you need to do a company background. After you do your company background, then you do a product description. Once again, if we're in e-commerce and we're in business and it's the buying and selling of goods, right? Then you have to have a product description. What is it that you're selling? Why is it that people want to buy what you're selling? So your product description is key because your product description gives you your target audience. I'm also an author. I have 4 books that I've written. My newest book is The 7 Principles of Grace. And one of the things when I'm writing my books, I have to target my audience. In order for me to come up with my target audience, I do a product description. What is it for? What is it about? Who is it going to reach? Why do they need it? Why would they buy the book, right? The next thing you have to do, which is so very important, is marketing plan. You need a marketing strategy in any business. I don't care if you're in Marketplace America, Corporate America, ministry, whatever it is. Marketing is very strategic in today's environment. And marketing is so strategic now that one of my mentors told me that when we're doing our sections, our ministry per se is what I was dealing with. He said that sometimes you have to look at ministry as a sitcom. If you look at a sitcom on TV, y'all just go with this train of thought, then a sitcom on TV is about 28 minutes, 39 seconds. When we were broadcasting on TV, we was on a local TV station, we had to submit videos no longer than 28 minutes and 39 seconds, I believe, something like that. So then it's broken up into 4 6-minute slots with commercials in between. So then why is that important? When your marketing strategy, it's important to realize that the attention span of the average person is between 5 to 7 minutes. Man, this is good information. I hope y'all hear me. So then between 5 to 7 minutes, you have the attention of people. So we have to be very intentional. Your old traditional 3 plots in the poem and things of that nature, at best you may get 1 or 2 points out. So your marketing plan gives you the ability to pinpoint and target, focus strategically on 1 or 2 concepts so that you can grab your company or your target audience attention. Okay. The next thing in this BP is the competitor analysis. Listen, people, if you really want to do business and be prosperous in business, you have to know what your competitors are doing. You have to do not only a market analysis, a competitor analysis, but you have to take the demographics. So for an example, if you notice in certain communities, we have 1 Chick-fil-A for a 4 to 5 mile radius. I know Chick-fil-A because John Maxwell, my mentor, one of my mentors, he do leadership things for them. And so it's written in their clause that you cannot own a Chick-fil-A in a certain vicinity of another Chick-fil-A because you'll be in competition with each other. If you didn't know that, this is why sometimes you see that the line is always wrapped around the building at Chick-fil-A. It's because they take the time to do competitor analysis. They do competitor analysis with other franchises in the area, other individuals who serve the same things that they serve. So that's how they compete. Next, you do a SWOT analysis. And you can just go look that up because the SWOT analysis is so comprehensive. Don't have time to go into all of that because each one of those letters represents something. Next, you have to write up your order of operations, your protocol, your procedures, your manual, if you will, your policy and procedures. This is very important, you all. And then you have a financial planning piece, which is very important because you don't go into business. One of the worst mistakes you can do, you all, is quit your job and going into business and don't have at least 3 years of revenue saved up. I would tell you to keep your regular job and start the business part-time until the part-time business matches or supersedes the income from the job. Then you can come off your job. It has to be strategic. I know it because 2016, December, we made a plan, or in 15, we made a plan and my wife came off her full-time job, corporate America job, making high 5 figures. And now we're in business and serial entrepreneurs, but we had to process that out. We had to plan it. And then lastly, you have to do a timeline. Let me tell you all something. When Sean is telling you all that by a certain time he wants certain chairman tens on his team, when we're telling you that this is the way you do it, you have to put a limit. You have to put a time on it. You have to put a date on it. Why? Because if you don't, you'll find yourself just falling and becoming complacent. You'll lose that edge. Many people don't realize this, but business, wealth, money, it moves with a sense of urgency. It's not for the faint-hearted and it's not for the lackadaisical. No, it moves with that sense. And so I know this may seem like a lot, but let me tell you all something. If you take the time to do this business plan first, half the battle is already over. I mean, shucks, if you go old school, G.I. Joe will tell you that knowing is half the battle, okay? The business plan works because it sets you up for success. You have goals, you have clear thought out plans, and you know where you're going. So once again, for those of you, each one of these is a class in and of itself. It's a 10-week course that I offer for the business plan because we really have to delve in. You really have to go do your research. But when you complete it, it's going to be good for you. So now, sometimes in life, you don't know what you don't know until someone who knows tells you so. That's what mentorship is to me. So at this moment, I want to share with you that we have a mentorship program where we deal with nothing but leadership, entrepreneurship, and business startups, how to LLC, how to get incorporated, all of that. And partners who come on and they share with us. If you're interested in that piece, you can easily go to essentialleaders.org and click mentorship to find out more about the mentor program that I have. Okay. So with that being said, the next thing when you're talking about e-commerce and you're talking about business, you all, is accounting. Now, if you look at this screen, all of these words that you see, expense sheets, credit reports, debit, assets, accounts payable, budgets, all of this has to do with the accounting. Now, for some of you all, I would say if you can afford a CPA, you definitely want to hire a CPA to manage this. But if you're just starting out and you're a solopreneur, then you have to learn at least a few things with these areas so that you set yourself up for a positive gain and not for failure, okay? Accounting is very important. So the question is, what is accounting? Basically, I've been doing this long enough that accounting to me simply means a system of recording, summarizing business, financial transactions, analyzing, verifying, and then reporting the results, okay? Basically, from CPAs and having other business partners and financial consultants working with them hand in hand, this is basically what they summarize that as. So a financial consultant is going to work through these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things for you, all right? But it'll behoove you to take some time to learn your system of recording. How do you record? Some businesses still do things by hand. I would strongly suggest that you input this stuff in the computer and then have a backup. Summarizing your business, understanding what we're doing, financial transactions. If you go into some stores, they take the receipts and restaurants and they save their receipts. You say, why? Because at the end of the day, when you get ready to count drawers, you get ready to balance your books, those receipts ought to match what's in the drawer, give or take a few dollars for something, for change, or just miscellaneous things. But if those receipts don't add up and you mess around and get audited, someone is going to be in trouble. And please don't play with the big IRS, okay? Now, one of the things that I teach in terms of business is the secret to saving, the secret to investments. I call these the key money or the key principles of money management. And this comes from years of just being in business, understanding, learning the language of it, being mentored by individuals who took time to teach me. It's no longer good enough just to save money. Truth of the matter is, if you put your money in the bank, every month you'll probably get something, a deduction, maybe $10 to $12 for bank fees. So if you put $100 in the bank within 10 months, that $100 is gone. So inflation is eating up just the old school method, or the old rule of money is just to put some money to the side and save it. Even if you ball it up and put it in a shoebox in your closet, with inflation, things are going to happen regardless. I mean, think about it. 15 years ago, a loaf of bread was like 99 cents. You had a 99-cent meal at Taco Bell. Well, now loaf of bread is going to run you almost $3 to $4. That's inflation, y'all. Taco Bell, I don't think you have any more tacos for 49, 59 cents. I remember when a soft taco was 69 cents. No more of that. So we have to understand that saving more and spending less gives you an ability to always invest. But if you just save and don't invest, then your money is going to be ate up because of inflation. So save more, spend less. If you do this, please hear me, people. A wise man, millionaire in Nashville, an older gentleman, taught me this concept. If you save more than you spend, every time you spend, you'll always have money. So if an opportunity comes across your desk, you will have the resources to maximize that opportunity. Most people can't do that because they don't see the value or benefit from saving funds for investments, right? Money is called currency, people. It has to flow. So if you just dam up your money by just saving it and not putting it in the markets where it can flow, then actuality, the principle of Ecclesiastes 11:1 and 2, and investing in 7 or 8 things does not operate in your situation. Okay. Now, one of the things we write at 9:30. I wanted to do a 30 to 40-minute piece. So I want to open up for Q&A in just a minute. But one of the principles that will help your business grow, I need you to hear this. This is a biblical principle, is giving. Now, giving is always better than receiving, but I'll have to put a tweak on it because some people don't know how to give, don't know when to give, and don't know where to give, all right? In the biblical text, it says, give, and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men pour in your bosom. But in the secular text, in business, it's not called tithing or giving as we know it. It's called philanthropies or philanthropy. And in the area of philanthropy, you have philanthropists who understand that there are certain perks of giving, all right? So let us look at the giving principle as it relates to business. First thing about giving, you all, is it promotes your local businesses. One of the best ways to support your community is to help out other businesses in the area. This is one of the reasons why I strongly suggest, if you're in leadership in your local context, you go and join the local Chamber of Commerce. I joined the local Chamber of Cobb County, you all, and when I tell you that it is so beneficial because now I am in the know of everything that moves through Marietta. And every business, before they do it, anything, I'm in the know. And I'm quickly gaining foot because I'm interacting with people. I'm building relationships with people. So buy local as possible, as often as possible, and set aside an area on your website, a link to your favorite local companies. What will happen is you develop relationships. So now when we get ready to do events, Shane, Shaq will come out and sponsor the event for free. Subway may do some things. Chick-fil-A, we got sponsors with them. This is how you promote your local business, by giving, showing up. So it's one restaurant that I frequent all the time. On Sundays, if I come in with more than 7 to 10 people, we get a 20% discount. Hey, that's building relationships, you all. It's called cross-networking with non-competing companies, all right? When you cross-network with non-competing companies with similar markets, it helps you reach more people and help out other local business owners. So then it becomes a win-win. All right. Second thing, giving. Principle, participate in holiday food drives. That's pretty straightforward. During the holidays, many businesses encourage employees to bring in unopened, non-perishable, canned and boxed foods that can be donated to local food banks. All right, it's pretty straightforward. Well, here's another one that you probably never thought about your business. What about sponsoring a youth sports team? Chances are someone on your staff has a child on a youth sports team. And by finding a local team to sponsor, you'll be able to help with funds and needs and get publicity in exchange for your support. It's free marketing, word of mouth. And subsequently, let me plug this in right here, you all. This whole concept of what just happened right there is network marketing at its finest. So for all of you people who said, I don't like network marketing, I don't know how to network marketing, I'm giving you a basic rundown of how to network market. And if you don't like network marketing, but you want to be in business, let me drop a very serious statistic on you. Network marketing is a $180 billion a year industry. Now, I don't need the whole $180 billion, but if I could just get 1 million of it, I'd be happy, okay? So I don't know about you, but when I found out that statistic, I was no longer abrasive or abusive toward network marketing. I just had to learn the skill set. Now, last but not least, you can set up a regular old collection jar. This is a way to support your community with no time commitment. Simply choose a charity that is important to your team and collect money in a high traffic area inside your business. It's a great way, you all, that I've seen children be able to participate in their own way. You can teach them important values that will last them for a lifetime. And for you teachers and pastors on here, if you know anything about the Sabbath and how to keep the Jewish Sabbath, which sundown on Friday to sundown on Saturday, one of the principles of the Sabbath is to have a coin container on the table with the showbread and everything and the blessings that you do. They put change in a coin, you all, for the purposes of helping their neighbor. So if someone were to come to you at a certain time of night needing bread or needing some funds, they are intentional about putting things aside to help their neighbor. I think somewhere in a good book it said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. All right, I'm not trying to preach to you all, but it's principles, you all, and it is business. So once again, sometimes in life, you don't know what you don't know until someone tells you. That's what mentorship is to me. Once again, if you're interested in a mentorship, go to essentialleader.org and click mentorship. You can sign up for it, all right? Now, with that being said, you all, this is one of the last slides that I wanted to share with you tonight, and I'll open it up for Q&A. Before launching your business, here are 6 steps to ensure a successful start, all right? Number 1, go beyond the business plan. Number 2, test your idea. Before we launched the mentorship program, we beta tested it all last year and graduated 14 students from another program that would feed into that program. I had to make sure that the curriculum was up to par. Number 3, know your market. You have to do your market analysis so you know your market. Let me tell you something, seriously. As much as we love KFC, if the Colonel tried to put out KFC right now in today's economy, it wouldn't make it. It wouldn't make it. Why? Because you have so many people who are health conscious. They gluten-free, no starch. You know, health and wellness is so high of a market right now. And nobody want to eat that greasy old chicken. I'm serious. Number 4, understand your future customer. You may have to send out and do some surveys. Number 5, establish cash resources as well as other investments that will make money for you. And then finally, you all, number 6, choose the right business structure. And once again, if there are any areas that you need help with that in, then we're here to help you out. So my dear friends, I want to thank you for your time. This has been the Leadership in Business webinar with Mike Favors. So at this point, I want to ask you all, first I'm going to stop our recording and I want to open it up for Q&A.